Got it.
So let's just double check before we start sharing.
So let's see.
Because
we're on here.
Are we on?
Yes, we are.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna hit record on this so that we are on.
Yes, we are.
Recording in progress. Look at that. We're awesome.
All
right. So let's just dive in and start. So welcome to Just a Live TV, giving you something to talk about, live TV, podcast, all of it. Today, my guest host is Tiffany Tracey, the Restream Queen, and I am, of course, Melissa Krechler, your host. So, Tracey, I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, my name is Tiffany Tracey, also known as the Resell Queen. I like to teach people how to have financial independence. And one of the ways that I do that is I talk about the side hustle of reselling. It's been something that I think was looked down upon years ago, but now everyone's talking about it because they realize you can really make money with it. And the thing about it is I teach people to do this not because, I'm trying to make buku amounts of money, showing people how to sell someone else's trash or to make money off of other items. I just want everyone to be financially independent. And this, for me, was one of the ways that helps that to happen, because this is a business that I started that I control. I control my hours that I work in it. I control when I want to work on it. And even if I'm not working on it, I am literally making money while I'm in bed sleep. So why not do that? And it's all legal. That's even better. So you don't have to work.
Making your own money legally, right?
Making it legally, so so growing up where I'm from, that wasn't always the case. People had a little side business, but it wasn't always legal. I'm showing you how to do something completely legal. You don't have to worry about someone coming to your door to say, we heard you've been doing something you shouldn't have. No, this is completely legal. You buy things and you sell them online. It's as simple as that. And that's what I talk about. And that's what I help people learn to do.
Oh, for sure. Financial freedom is something I think everybody strives for. But financial freedom is different for everybody. Wouldn't you say? There are people who do the 9-to-5 grind, right? And live the 9-to-5 grind, and they're happy, right?
And that's good. If that makes you happy and you are fine with, you get up at whatever time you get up, you go punch your time clock in, and then you time out, and that makes you happy, I think that's good. That's all relative. But the thing that I like to talk about is sometimes things happen. That job that you like may not always be there. And we learned that last year, when COVID hit. Many people that had what would be considered good paying jobs, these jobs aren't there anymore. Or maybe these companies said, maybe your position really isn't needed. So now you have to pivot and do something else, or try to find something in your niche. So you may be happy with what you're doing, but if you don't own it, you don't control it.
Yeah. It's completely true. You know what? I liked correct me if I'm wrong for pronouncing this way, but the autonomy, the automatic, I'm in Canada, so I worked for Canada Post. I've been a legal assistant. I've been a paralegal. I've been basically an insurance salesman, financial planner, whatever. I've been all of these different things. And I think Canada Post is one of my favorites, and I'm still a part-time employee there because I love going to work, doing my job, being busy, and then going home and I'm leaving it there.
Yeah,
I get
that. Oh yeah,
that I like, right?
I know what you mean. I remember working my regular, 9-to-5 job when I had one, and when I would get home, I always had that time. I don't know if it's a girl thing, but we had that time period where we're sitting in our car when we get home We don't rush right out because, we go to our second job because we're moms and wives and everything else. So I used to give myself like 5-10 minutes in the car just to kind of break off of whatever happened at work, whatever I didn't get finished or whatever situation came over that was an issue. So I didn't bring it home. With what I do I bring it home? Yes and no. I think it's all according to your level of how you separate things. Yeah. I am a person where I have my time planned out. I know what I'm going to be doing all throughout the day. So I know the time periods that I'm going to be putting towards my business. And for me, that works. I know everyone is not as organized.
I'm totally the opposite.
And if that works for you, that's fine. Because my husband does the same thing. Him and I do not work our businesses together because we are opposite, complete opposites. Mm-hmm. He does his thing, I do my thing. And it's funny, I always feel like he comes around to my way of thinking, and then he decides, I'm not comfortable with that. So that's completely fine. It works for him, doesn't work for me. I need to know where everything is. I know that's just me. I am, that's how I work, and that's how I'm organized. But going for financial freedom for me, it's not being a multimillionaire. And I always tell people when they start in the reselling business, anyone that's sitting there telling you, oh, you're going to make millions of dollars, only put in a couple hours of work, don't follow them, because they're trying to sell you something and tell you that you're going to be a millionaire by selling you something to help make them a millionaire. It's a lot of work. Just because it's not a 9-to-5 doesn't mean you don't put time in.
Yep. Being an entrepreneur in any sense of the word is work.
Yes.
There is so much, like, I will be lying watching a movie with my family, right? And I'll be thinking about work. And I'd be like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. And then it's like, I want to get up and go and do it, but I'm spending time with my family, right? And that's not a negative. I actually enjoy that. But it is, right? Being an entrepreneur is not a quick rich scheme. Like, it takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and frustrations, and
lots of failures.
Freedom can be as simple as working that 9-to-5 and knowing that you have, a semi-stable income. As long as you go to work and as long as there's a position for you, you have a stable income, right? Living paycheck to paycheck. There are people who are absolutely happy living paycheck to paycheck as long as they've budgeted and everything is paid for, right? My biggest thing with this video is financial freedom looks different for everybody, but it also comes down to not only your knowledge of finances, which is where you come in a little bit more, right? Is teaching people what they need to know to be financially free. Where on my end, it's more so, what are your thoughts, beliefs surrounding finances, right? Like, what do you believe is financial freedom to you, right? And how does it make you feel? Because
exactly,
if you feel a certain way about money, or you believe a certain way about money, you're going to create that belief, right? You're going to create a situation where, oh, I'm never going to get out of debt. Well, if you feel like you're never going to get out of debt, you're not going to see that you have the ability to get out of debt. You just don't know it, right? So a lot of it comes down to mixing those three things: the belief, the emotions, and the knowledge. Go ahead.
Exactly. Oh, sorry. But my background before I started this, I always worked in banking. I started out as a teller, then I moved all throughout the branch. I was even a branch manager at one point in time. Then I went to the phone, was a phone rep, even became a call center manager, and also moved around in other little departments in banking. The one thing that I'm grateful for was that 9-to-5 job, because that taught me the other side of things. And I always used, whenever I would speak to my customers, I always spoke to them from the point of view of, let me help you so you're not paying more. And that was always how I made my sales, because I always showed them, look, this is what, if you continue to do this, the bank's going to make money off of you. So let's work on something and put together a plan so that every month you're not dipping into all these overdraft fees. Let me show you a different way to do this. I understand you may need the money, but let me show you a different way, because honestly, the bank doesn't care that you keep getting these fees because they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
So I always looked at that as an educational tool. So I've always been like the person to help of someone in their finances, whether it goes from working at the banks or even now showing people how to make money on the side by reselling. I've took my 9 to 5 and just kind of took what I did before and flipped it a little bit. But when it comes, especially when it comes to like banking, a lot of, I can go on a whole rant on what banks do, but I won't go there today on and things that they prey on for some people. But I always try to show people, look, if the bank is going to use you for this, you need to use them for that. You know, whenever I would talk to someone and maybe they didn't have like a great credit score, and I would show them and help them to get a secured credit card. And I would say, look, it's time for you to use the bank the same way they are using you. They're using you for to get money off of the interest rate. That's what they're using you for. That's how they're making their money. Now you need to use them for what they're going to provide to you. They're going to take the information about your payment history and put it on your credit report. So you need to make sure that you're using your card in such a way that it makes it so you don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just talk just plainly like that and say, look, the bank's using you. I work here. I know.
Yep.
Let me show you how you use them, and take that and turn it around. So that way you're not in a position where when you get paid, you're already paying like 5 to 6 overdraft fees. And there were people that I spoke to probably every day. That was how it worked for them. They would get their direct deposit in, and they would lose about $200 to $300 worth of their paycheck because it went to the bank because of overdraft fees.
I was there once, not gonna lie.
And
I've been there.
And that's how the bank makes money. I'll tell you the truth. That's how they make the money. Is because people don't budget for their expenses or budget for things that they don't know what's going to happen. You know, so I always talk to people about, you need to know what's coming in, what your income is, and what your expenses are. How much are you spending? Now, does that mean that you have to make like a big Excel spreadsheet and all that extra stuff if you're not into that? No, you don't have to. As simple as writing everything down on a piece of paper once a month so that you can see where your money is going is good enough. That will help to keep you on track. Exactly. You and I do the same thing. Okay. Exactly. Once a month, I know what I know.
I do it every pay period.
Exactly. I do mine.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know when the checks are coming. And then for as far as like with my husband, I know when his money is coming. So I kind of look at his money as the money that is always going to be there. And then the money that I make, that's sort of like the extra. That is the money that we get to say, if we need it, we got it. If not, it just goes into savings.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I'm glad to have that mind frame, that set in my mind to know, okay, I have to make sure I put some things in the savings because things happen, you know, especially during COVID. There was like a 2-week time period. My husband wasn't working and we were getting, you know, regular paychecks, but we didn't always have the paychecks coming in. So not the same amount we didn't have coming in.
Yeah. So I know that we're getting a little bit close to the time when your little one's coming home?
It's fine. He's here.
mine will be home in about 20 minutes. So let's talk financing the stages, because that's what the show's about, right? Financial freedom at all stages and ages. So I kind of want to talk more so right now about our ages. So I'm 38, right? Finances at any age is crazy, right? There's things to learn, things to do. I find in society right now, we're going a lot towards creating our own financial freedom via building our own businesses, becoming entrepreneurs. Like, I know for me, I'm a coach. I'm an identity coach and a spiritual teacher. Those two things are, my identity coach is like the equivalent of a life coach, but different because I'm unique, and what I teach is just out of this freaking world. So it's that good. But for me, I know that both of those fields are so oversaturated right now that it's hard to make it work. Right. It's hard to become a coach or a spiritual teacher with so many out there and actually make it work. So I can say from experience on that one, becoming an entrepreneur is great. But don't get yourself in a field that is so oversaturated that it's going to take you months, years, to do anything with it. So for me, I want to talk about my age, or our age, because I know that you're close in age to me. Starting another business or starting to create a side hustle based on a demand that's in your area. So on top of being, for me, I know that you're the resell queen, right? So we'll get into that in a minute. For me, what I do is I make heat therapy bags, which are magic bags. You basically put them in the microwave or the freezer, heat it up, cold therapy, whatever. They are always in demand. I make crystal jewelry. I've come to a point in that aspect of my business that I don't sell the crystal jewelry because it's so oversaturated, right? So now I just kind of make it for me, or friends, or family, right? Or clients.
Yeah. I'm actually familiar with that.
Yeah. I am an intuitive psychic reader, so I do card readings, right? I'm a past life regressionist. So I have multiple avenues to my business, but I don't focus on them, right? Like more of them are more passive income than anything, right? My main focus is the courses that go with spiritual teaching and the coaching, right? But I know so many people who are getting into different streams of that income. Even at 38, 40, 50, 60, as you get older, like, your age is not going to stop you from creating businesses. There's 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds for creating their own businesses, right? And it's amazing to see.
Well, the internet, thankfully, has changed it from being local servicing. Now you can reach the world right from your living room. It gives you that opportunity. And I think as long as, especially people in our age group, I think our age group, we are, I guess, what do they call us? Generation X, is that what they call us? We are the generation of people that were born in the 70s and early 80s. Our generation, we grew up with the way things used to be, and we grew into the way things are now. Yeah. So we are a generation of adapters.
Yeah.
That's what we've done. And some of us have embraced it. I would say a lot of us have embraced it. You know, I think especially when Facebook was the thing, that and I go all the way back to MySpace. I'm showing my age now. Yeah. You know, have your top phone.
MSN Messenger and
Yahoo Messenger.
Dial-up internet. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Dial-up internet. I remember the days. These kids have no idea. Okay. But I think our generation, we know the difference between of what we used to have and what we have now. So we understand I think sometimes a way to speak to people in a way that it grabs their attention. Like I think about like some influencers that I tend to follow, or influencers that have people following them of all ages. They're normally our age because we know how to adapt. At least our generation does. I feel, because I remember going to college and being told that the internet was not a source. And then when I got towards the end of school, learning how to cite sources on the internet, just in that little time span, how things change. I remember that. I was told that the internet's not a source. Really? But the newspaper's on there now. you know, and now I don't get a newspaper. Now my local area has a newspaper that comes out once a week. Not every day, once a week. All of my news is, if it's not from TV, it's from online. So we've adapted. And I think for us, one of the things I know that I worry about I shouldn't say worry, I just plan for, because I don't really worry. I know regardless of whatever happens, I have the skills to make sure that I need to make money. So, but one of the things I look ahead now towards is retirement. I'm not close to retirement, but I have a generation that was before me that is retiring with pensions. And because in the States out here, most jobs gave you what's called a pension. And after about 20, 30 years of working, you get this pension every month up until the time you die. And even your survivors, like whether it be your spouse, can continue to get a pension. We don't have that anymore. The only way you get that, you have to be like a government employee. Yeah, exactly. And or be unionized. And even sometimes then you may not have a pension. They moved to a system where as employee, I fund my own retirement, like a 401k. That's what we call them. And then my
401ks.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I have a pension through Canada
okay.
Post. But even still, there was talks years ago of it being taken away and not offered to the new hires.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing how hard like our parents are struggling financially, where they were I just went to the supermarket. I mean, just example. I just went to the supermarket before we did all this today. And I just wanted to get a pack of chicken wings. I already had some, but I wanted to add to what I had because I didn't have enough for the whole family to make dinner for tomorrow. The pack of chicken wings was $20 American. I've never seen it that high. I've seen it maybe 15 or 16 and go, that's kind of high. But it was literally $20 and some odd cents. Things are getting way more expensive. So we're still getting the same things, but we're not paying the same price. So looking at that, I know that in 20 years, that pack of chicken wings might be $50. So I need to plan for that.
Yeah.
So even though I may have some, have a little bit of money tucked away, I'm always tucking away just a little bit more, so I don't have to worry about what I'm not going to get from my government when I get older. And I also want to be able to help my kids. If I know it's going to be hard for me, it's going to be even harder for them. So
that's the thing, right? Is our children, and that brings to the next point. So to finish off our age and older, I'd like to say that no matter your age, no matter how old you become, no matter whether you're retired, you always have options to have multiple streams of income. Yes. Things that are easy for you to do. If you're retired or immobile, right? Somebody who has a disability who can't leave the house, or can sit at a computer in a wheelchair but can't do any physical activities. There are things online that you can do to make extra money.
Yes, there are.
Right? There absolutely is.
Lots of things.
Yeah. So if you're worried about that, I know in Canada, okay, so we get the old age pension, the Social Security, all of that, right? There are ways to add, and in Canada, as long as you make under 30,000 a year, right? You don't need to have a business license.
Really?
Yeah, so you don't have to be registered or anything along those lines as long as you make under 30,000.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So for any Canadians watching,
I'm jealous.
You're safe until you reach that plateau. But then for children and teens, because I know that I have young kids. My kids are 7, 12, 18, and 19. And I know the 19-year-old needs to start learning about saving and when to spend and when not to spend. And I'm starting with the younger ones. Like my youngest, my 7-year-old, has more money saved in her account than anybody else in the house. Like, just right. And it's because she doesn't go out. She's always been the type of kid where if we go out, she's not the one, Mom, I want this, or Mom, I want that. She finally got into that because she watched her sister, because her sister is all about gimme, 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 gimme. But she's not like that. And I think that teaching kids the definition of financial freedom to them, right? Not to other people, but to them, right? Get a 9-to-5 job. If you want a side hustle, get a side hustle. If you want to create a business, create a business. If you have an idea that fuels your passion, go for it. Just go for it. Be smart and budget. And, a lot of entrepreneurs, so let's just go here. Business coaches will tell you to invest in yourself and go into debt. No, honey, no.
Don't do the debt thing. Don't do that.
No.
Now, I am always for using your 9-to-5 to leverage your side hustle or your passion, because you still need to eat. You still have to go to and from,
cell phones, internet.
And, if you don't, especially if you don't have children, please leverage that, because it gets harder when you have children to leverage, because the second you become a mom, or I should say, second you become a parent, you now have to think about, okay, how much time am I spending with my child? Who's going to watch my child when I am unavailable? Versus, I wish I had this in me 20 some years ago, but I didn't. Well, I should say this. I did, but I was afraid. For me, it wasn't until I had no other choice that I was able to put myself out there and actually bet on myself. So the way that I would talk to a younger person, of course, it's going to be age appropriate. I happen to have 4 children. 2 are my bonus kids. My oldest is 25. I have 25, 16, 13, and 7. So the way I speak to my 7-year-old is not the same way you speak to a 25-year-old. But with my 25-year-old, because I've always spoke about money, he's a very good saver. He has watched me talk about, okay, we want to do X, Y, and Z on this particular date. So in order to be able to do that, we need to save money this many times so we have that money. I didn't realize at the time, I was just being a mom, telling my kid, look, I know that you want to do this particular activity. We plan on doing it on this particular date. In order for that to happen, I need to save X amount every time I get paid. So this time when I get paid, we're not going to do the family fun center. We're not going to go out to eat. We're going to eat at home because we have this particular one thing we want to do on that special day that costs a lot of money. Yeah. That one thing that I said about that, which I completely forgot that my own kid brought up, was that taught him the plan for his savings. So he plans for Christmas. He has a thing for him. He actually has, what do you call it? We call them club accounts out here, where it's like a club savings account, where it's like a vacation club. He puts a certain amount from every paycheck into that club account. And around November, he pulls it all out. And that's what he uses as his Christmas money. So that way he's not using bill money for Christmas. And he learned that from me, which I'm like, ooh, I passed that on to him. You know,
that's a big parent win.
Yeah, it was one of those times where I was like, okay, I got that one right. Okay. Oh, forget all the 50 million times that I may have done something wrong. But that one I got right. Okay. Because I always talked about, okay, we are going to be working. You want to do this particular event. You like when my son was younger, it was just me and him. So things were a little bit cheaper when it was just me and him. And, you know, he was young. So I try to do something on the weekends, you know, as you know how it is. I was a single mom back then, and I was just trying to make sure he had a good time. We had things for him to do. So I used to say, okay, we're going to try and do this particular thing on the weekend, or go to this place. So if we're going to go to this place, we plan on spending $50. We know we're going to spend that. So because of that, we're not going to go out to eat on this day and this day and this day. We're going to eat what's at home, and we're going to have fun on Saturday.
Yeah.
That was my buy-in to him, because, you know, he wanted to have Mickey D's every night. Yep. you know.
And that's the thing. And I think it's teaching kids that you don't necessarily, and I'm sure the meals that you had at home, and this is where I'm going with that. The meals that you had at home are probably great, right? They were probably something that he enjoyed, that he liked, that wasn't, you know, just ramen noodles, even if he loved ramen noodles, right? Like,
exactly.
It was something that he actually enjoyed, or that he was comfortable eating. So it wasn't like he had to give anything up to be that, right? And I think nowadays, I know for my experience with my own children, our children aren't as adaptable and don't have the coping skills that we have, right? So to teach them that, hey, you don't have to give everything up just to be who you want to be, or you don't have to give everything up, or you don't have to give anything up really to save and to succeed and to get where you want to go. You just have to believe that you can do it and make it happen. So you have to shuffle some stuff around for a little bit. Do it. It's, you know, it's short term.
Exactly.
I think schools nowadays should really be teaching kids, or even having somebody like you who worked in a bank, right? Go in and say, you know, and make it fun. And I think that's the thing, is to actually make it something they want to talk about.
Well, it's funny you should say that. When I used to work for the bank, one of the banks I worked for, when you were in management, you had to do what they call community service. You had so many hours that you had to do. And I decided to be part of a program that went to high schools, and we taught financial literacy. Since I worked at the branch, I helped talking about checks, writing out checks, and also credit, as well as balancing a checkbook. When I went to the class, all of the kids knew all the bad stuff that could happen to you, but they didn't know how to keep that from happening. They all knew about what repossessions were. They all knew about bouncing checks, all the bad stuff. And I was like, wow, you guys know all the bad stuff. Let me show you guys how not to have that happen. And I gave them an assignment. And I remember their teacher came back to me and was like, I don't even balance my checkbook. I was like, you're the teacher. But she was like, this was actually really good. She was like, now I do keep a mental note of when I'm using my debit card. I was only writing down when I wrote checks. Now this is going back some years. So this is before I think everyone had a debit card. before, kids had them and things like that. But the kids know, they pick up what happens bad because it affects them. It's going to affect them if mom and dad's car gets repoed. It's going to affect them if checks start bouncing. If checks start bouncing and they lose where they're living, they understand the effects of the things that happen when you have poor money management, but they don't know how to change that. And that, I believe, just like you do, that's something that should be talked about in school. There should be a class on like a life skills class to help kids so that when they are out of school, they know these things. I can tell you, my first year on college, the first thing that I did, I got a credit card. I should have never got that credit card. I didn't have a job, but they gave me a credit card. That was free money. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I was just swiping that card like it was going out of style until they cut it up in front of my face. That's back when
part of that is parents too, though, right? I think for kids, it's not only the schools, it's not only the banks, but it's kids, it's parents too. So my biggest pet peeve, and my husband even does it too, and I'm just like, no, like we need to talk it out, is talking to your kids about your own finances.
Mm-hmm.
That's none of your business.
That's how I grew up.
Yeah. And it's like, if we don't talk to our kids about what we experience, the good and the bad, and the things that we need to do to give them what they want, we don't need to create self-entitled children. We don't need to create children who think that, we wait to pay things until last minute, or, whatever it may be that we learned. Because I remember that story from you. We need to teach our kids that, hey, this is what you should do. Not that you have to, but this is what you should do to make it easier on you. We know kids are going to turn around and do whatever the hell they want anyway once they hit adults, right? Like, I mean, it's a given. They have to learn by experience. But if they already know what to expect, when it happens, they'll be like, oh, hey, mom and dad told me that, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, whatever. Yeah. My parent told me this. Now I know what to do to get out of it.
Exactly. It's funny we talk about that because I'm in my mid-40s now. My mother is in her late 70s.
I just have to go call my daughter. So just
okay.
You keep talking. I will.
All right. So my father passed away a couple years ago, and my mom just now has started to tell me about what is going on with her finances. She is now starting to let me know how much her income is and how much her expenses truly are, because she needed some help. And because of what I'm doing, I'm able to help her financially. But I had to sit down with her and have a conversation of, Mom, I need to know how much money you have coming in. I need to know what all of these bills are, what they are for. Can we consolidate some of these things? What's happening? Because I grew up in a household where I had a 2-parent household. My mom and my dad, they both worked. I knew nothing about what was happening with our house financially. I knew they owned their house, and I knew it was built, so it was a new construction. So we were the only people that ever lived there. That's all I knew. I didn't know about how much the mortgage was. I didn't know about how much my parents' car payments were. My dad, at one point in time in my life, was driving a IROC Camaro. And I know my mom hated the car because she hated the payments. I don't know how much they were, but I know that the payments were high. I know I went to private school. I know that wasn't cheap. I don't know exactly the dollar figure that my dad and my mom brought in. After going through my own life, now I know approximately how much was coming in. And because I know that, I'm like, wait a minute, why are y'all in this situation? You had enough. However, they they are from a different generation of the man takes care of mostly everything, of making sure certain things are done. And there wasn't like a true conversation about what happens financially.
Yeah,
It's
I
just,
know that one.
oh, you know what I mean? It's we're
Yeah.
going to be doing this. You have no say. So that's one of the things that I'm learning and dealing with my own mother, is talking about finances and how much income you have coming in and how much are you spending. When it comes to kids, of course you have to keep you keep it age appropriate. You don't have to go over their head to explain all the different bills, but you still should, in my opinion, and this is things that we talk about in my home, they need to understand money literally isn't free. You have to earn it. Now, you can earn it by doing things online, and that's one things that I am showing my son, so that he understands, oh, if I'm not making enough on my 9 to 5, I got this as a backup, because I want him to have that, because I didn't know about that. So I don't want him to go through my growing pains, but of course he's going to have to, but I want him to understand, you don't just wake up and here's a card. And I had to have an epiphany one day. I remember my son was playing with some type of gadget. And of course, it's like every gadget, it's attached to the internet. And he wanted to download a game. He came to my husband and said, can you get the credit card from mommy so I can download the game? Now, he was smart enough to know, oh, my mom controls the money, but he went to my husband to ask to get the card. And now keep in mind, I think he was like 4 years old at this point. He knew enough to know that. But in his mind, I'm the one that always spends the money because he's with me at the store.
Yeah.
I'm the one, he's always with me at the store. We're always going here, we're going there. And I'm the one that pulls out my card to pay for everything. He doesn't see that with his dad. So he just thinks, oh, mommy's the one that spends the money. She must have the card. Never mind, my husband has his own card attached to it that he rarely uses. But we were like, oh no, we have to start talking to him about money, because he thinks you can just pop in a card and get what you want. No, it doesn't work that way. It might seem like it works that way. It's not free. You got to pay that back. And the fact that he knew enough that it was a credit card, even though I don't use a lot of credit cards, but he knew enough to say, okay, you need to get it from mommy, but I need you to go get it because I want to download this. And that's when the light bulb hit me. I was like, okay, we have to start talking about money now. We weren't talking about it before, and now we have to talk about it now. So, and I use that with him. I mean, if he wants something, I let him know you have to earn it. There are certain things in my house, that you have to do, that you're responsible for. Certain things, you have to make your bid. You
being a part of the family.
Yes, those are things you don't get paid for that. That's what you do in my house. You don't like it, you can get your own house when you're 18. Good luck with that.
Yeah, you need to contribute something.
Exactly. So, and I keep it age appropriate. I don't got him living like Annie over here. So, but he knows there's things that he's supposed to do, but there are things that he might want to earn. We say, okay, you want to earn these things? This is how much it costs. So we're going to need you to do X, Y, and Z, along with having a good attitude, because you're not going to do those things with bad behavior. You're not going to come to me and say, oh, I did this, I did that, now I want my thing. No, that's not good behavior. And actually, in my house, good behavior is more important than anything.
Yeah.
Because I need to make sure that who I'm sending outside of my house is an upstanding citizen.
Decent human being.
Exactly. Whoever I raise in my house and has to go out into the world, they may not have the best of everything, but they're going to have a work ethic, and they're going to be, as you said, a decent human being. And that's how I'm raising my kids.
Well, I guess we should shuffle off this episode. We're at about 45 minutes already.
Oh, wow.
I know, I looked at that. I had to go run and let my daughter in because my youngest daughter couldn't open the door. So
Oh,
I had to go. So I think just because the show is giving you something to talk about, right? And we really want people to take something away that they can talk about. So I think the biggest thing is that at any point or any stage in your life, you have options. And those options are available to you regardless of your beliefs, regardless of, the emotions that you're stuck in. Biggest thing from my point of view is take your emotions out of the equation, because your emotions are going to stop you from seeing the options that are available to you to change your situation, which is what you're striving to do. But if you're emotionally attached to the outcome to the point where you're like, oh my God, I have to do it, you're desperate, you're not going to see them. So take your emotions out of the equation and start to think logically rather than emotionally. That's the biggest thing I take away. And anything, use your passion, whatever you're passionate about. This whole show is created on me wanting to talk about topics that I'm passionate about, while bringing on guest hosts like Tiffany, who have passionate topics they want to talk about that people need to hear or want to hear. That's the whole point of the show.
yeah. And I think that's great. Like I happen to listen to a lot of podcasts in the car, and it evokes a conversation sometimes. And if
that's
that,
the point, right?
if that is helpful, that you can say, I was listening to this podcast in the car, talking to your significant other and saying, we don't discuss our money with our kids. Are we setting them up for failure? Are they going to live with us
or
until
our
they're
parents, right?
Yeah.
Hey, mom or dad needs some extra money, but dad's really good at woodworking. Why doesn't he start doing something with that? You know what I mean? Freaking
Yes.
blanket ladders in Canada. So I live in Winnipeg, Canada. Blanket ladders, $60.
Wow.
Like, you have the ability to make money at things you're good at, and you don't have to struggle. Like my heat therapy makes, I make them year round.
Okay.
But from November
oh yeah,
to January, it's insane. Those are my busiest months for making those products, right? Because Christmas and it's cold out and everybody wants stuff, right? It's minus 45 with the wind chill today. Like it's cold. Yeah, which is great, but yeah.
Wow.
So yes, taking stuff and being able to talk to your friends, your family, your children, and say, hey, let's talk about money. There's so much stigma around not talking about money, yet everybody needs money to live. Even people who are living off the grid and wanna, what's it called? Homesteading. You still need the money to start. You need to buy the cows, you need to buy the traps, like whatever it is.
Gotta buy the land.
Yeah, like you still need the money. And you're not all gonna get a show like Alaska the Final Frontier. Like you're not gonna get it. Like, sorry, but been there, done that, right? Yeah.
I just hope that if anyone that's listening or watching, especially parents, take that opportunity just to have a simple conversation. You don't have to sit them down and say, and say, this is all about money. Actually, it's an ongoing conversation. As they get older, you keep talking about how much things cost, how much you're bringing in, and I think if you're honest, and I think sometimes parents get embarrassed about their money situation, tell your kids the truth. Say, look, mom and dad made a mistake. We thought it was a good idea to invest in XYZ. We were wrong. We are sorry. We are wrong. So now we are working extra harder to make up that loss.
Yep.
We took a gamble, it didn't work. And then when you do take a gamble and it does work, you can say, we decided that we were going to invest in X, Y, and Z. It worked for us. So now we have a little bit extra money. Let's celebrate.
Take them when they're younger.
Yes.
Take them shopping. Give them, you know, $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever. Give them cash and make them buy something on their own. See how the transactions work.
Yes. My oldest went. That was a big thing with him. Was with learning the cash. Oh,
paychecks. When your child is about to get their first job, prepare them that their paychecks are taxed.
We laugh because we remember our first time getting our first paycheck and said, "What the heck is this?" Now I don't know what it looks like in Canada, but on our paychecks here, it's called FICA. And you're like, who the heck is FICA? Who is she? What are they doing with my money? And then according to where you live, you have local taxes. You have state taxes. Every state, by the way, United States is we pride ourselves on making everything extra harder for you to understand. So according to whatever state you live in, or I should say whatever state you work in, and if you happen to work in a local municipality that also has taxes, you can think you're getting paid a certain amount an hour, but when it all boils down to it, they are not even close. And then as a person on the other side, who's an entrepreneur who has to pay these people, I also have to pay those taxes. So the same way I had to pull those taxes out of your check, I sometimes also have to add to those taxes.
Yeah.
When I submit that. So that doesn't get talked about enough. I think, at all.
I work for the government, right? Because Canada Post is a government agency, right? I'm just opening my last pay stub. I have on my pay stub, and I'm just going to count it because I think it's funny. So, and I'm not going to lie, I've been with the company for 12 years or 11 years. I can't remember. Since 2007, I've been with the company. And so I got in at a really good time and I've gotten consistent raises over the last few years, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 deductions off of my paycheck.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's before you got to your money that you get to spend and live off of. Actually, I say spend, but really it's to live
off of. Yeah. And that's the thing, whether you're spending it or living off it. So yeah, like it doesn't matter. You think about being an entrepreneur, right? Like paying for Zoom, paying for Restream, paying for all these accounts and things that you need to do, right? The chair, the artwork, whatever.
Oh yeah,
right? Like
it's a whole thing, some of it I have learned a lot to do certain things on my own, but it took time to learn how to do that. As far as dealing with making a logo.
I did, majority of it I did myself. Yeah, I had my first website and my first logo done for me. And then I still have that logo and you'll see it on the Just Alive website because I'm one of the sponsors of the shows. Both of my logos, so my MK logo, which is my identity coaching logo, that one was created for me. My Butterfly Lotus Company logo, I actually created myself. So the Just Alive logo, I created that one, right? So I created all 3 websites. I revamped them after that first one was created, and I've created every single one since, right? There are templates, I'm not gonna lie, so the templates are nice, but the fact that you can do that is amazing. But so to wrap up this show, financing stages, you have capabilities at every stage of your life to create financial freedom for yourself.
Yes.
If at any point watching this video, you want to connect with either myself or Tiffany, feel free. Tiffany's information will be on Facebook, YouTube, on the website, wherever you're watching this. So justalive.com.ca, Just Alive TV is where you will find absolutely everything for the show, including the podcast. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining. I'll give you a second if you have any last words for the viewers.
I just want to thank you, first of all, for allowing me to come on your platform and just talk about things that I'm passionate about. You know,
Absolutely.
I do what I do because I want everyone to be financially independent. I want someone to, not that I want someone to be down on their luck, but I want that if a person is at a point where they're like, I'm not sure what to do, I want someone to just type in and go, I saw this girl talking about something. Let me see what she was talking about. I want them to see that and start doing some of the things that I talked about. And then 3 months, 6 months go, wow, I'm making money. I want that for somebody. You know, that to me is the best thank you that I could ever get and I get those from time to time. You know, I can't believe it sometimes, but I'm like, wow, if one person can just hear what I'm talking about and say, I can do that. She's not making it sound too hard, because it's not. It just requires some time and a little bit of elbow grease and thought process, you know, because I never told
like
you
washing the dishes. You gotta
exactly.
you gotta scrub that pan.
Exactly. It takes a little bit of time, you know, until you like, now I got a lot of things now on autopilot because I set those things up. You know, those are the products that I sell, and that's just what I decided to do. But I can go beyond that if I choose to. So I just want to just tell all your listeners, doesn't matter what you end up doing as a side hustle. I just want you to be able to be financially free so you don't have to worry about what's going to happen and where your next meal is going to come from and how you're going to support your family. That's it.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I really appreciate you joining me. So for anybody watching, you can catch the replay, watch live, whatever. If you have an episode or a topic that you're really passionate about that you would like to share on the live TV show or through the podcast or through guest blogging. So with justalivetv.com, you can be a guest blogger. You can be a guest on the podcast. You can also be a guest on the show and the podcast, whatever it is. Absolutely. You're more than welcome. If you have a topic that you would like to hear about, you don't want to be a guest, but you want to hear about a topic that you're passionate about, send in, contact me. There are contact forms all throughout every social media platform, including the website, where you can reach out, even comment on the video and tell me a topic that you'd like to hear about. Also, soon to come, there are going to be sponsorship opportunities. If you would like to sponsor one of the show and have your name dropped and your business dropped during the show and have your basically the entire episode sponsored by you, if you want to sponsor the website and have your name focused on the website, reach out. There are opportunities to do that as well. So lots of love from the Just Alive TV community. Tiffany, again, thank you so much and have a wonderful day. I'll see everybody on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.